Hey, what's up? My name is Ren. Welcome back to the studio. In today's video, I want to share with you these quick 10-minute floral sketchbook ideas. Now, these sketchbook sessions are perfect for you if your life looks anything like mine right now. Lately, I've just been in a season where life just feels incredibly busy, but I still have this desire to grow as an artist. I love these simple sketchbook ideas because they're like these quiet invitations to show up to my art table and make art just as I am. So if that sounds good to you, definitely stick around for this video. Whenever I'm starting these quick sketchbook sessions, I love to just keep my art process as simple as possible because when you're strapped for time, it's just comforting to know that your process is uncomplicated and approachable. It just keeps me coming back to the process over and over again when I'm working with supplies that I love in a process that's simple and gentle and nurturing. So I love to start by making loose marks and warming up my hand. I love to work with simple materials, mostly pen and ink, sometimes markers and pencil. But I love to work with media that I feel comfortable working with in my hands. And mark making is such a great exercise to learn the language of your art tools and to really get comfortable with how your art tools feel in your hand while your hands move across the page and make different marks. I'm going to link all of my supplies in the description box below, but I love to work with fine liners a lot. This is my Staedtler Tri Plus fine liner, and I love this fine liner. It just makes really awesome marks. It can make really bold lines, but also depending on how you hold your tool, you can get a variety of marks. So let's start. For example, when I talk about holding my art tool, I love to kind of angle my art tool just to give me a variety of sometimes more scratchy marks or more variety in my mark making, because when I hold my art tool straight up and down, it's giving me a really dark and bold line. But I like to kind of anchor my pinky on the page to kind of keep my wrist stable. And I angle my I angle my pen, and I like to make these scratchy kind of marks, and this just really keeps the nature of my mark making interesting and gives me a variety of marks when I'm making different drawings and sketches. And this also helps you to know the kind of marks that your art tool can make. So with my pinky anchored on the page, I can really get a good angle and turn my pen on its side and make these fine kind of scratchy marks. And I love the way I live for art ASMR, and I love the way pens and markers sound when they're just scratching on the page. And I love to go in different directions and cross hatch and make different shadows and marks, build my lines one on top of the other. And it just really helps me to free my mark making. Now, if I kind of pulled back on my pen, sort of hold it way in the back here, I can really get a low angle. On the fine liner and kind of scratch it. Scratch it across the page. I also like to make different shapes and just also wiggle my pen and keep my shapes and my hand loose. Now what this does, this may seem really simple, but what this does over time, it really helps you to intuitively create different marks in your drawings because you get your hand used to moving in certain ways. And I love these squiggly kind of marks because it keeps my sketches sort of interesting and alive. You don't want to make everything so straight. I mean, straight angles are great for certain things, but I love to also make these kind of wiggly lines. Now, I definitely don't go as deep into mark making with every simple sketchbook session, but I'm just giving you an example of how creating loose marks, getting to know your art tools, it can really help you when you start to draw and sketch more and more. So that was my Staedtler fine liner. Now I have a Papermate Flair pen, which is a felt tip pen, and I love this because I just love the smoothness of the experience with this, and I love how dark it is. Now this pen gives you pretty even lines because it's a rounded sort of felt tip, and so it gives you these really even dark lines, which I can appreciate the reliability of this art tool, knowing that I'm going to get a certain type of line when I'm using this. Now I also have a few Faber-Castell Pitt artist pens. I have some in black and brown, and I just want to show you, these are more of a felt tip as well, but it's a pointed felt tip pen. It's really a marker, like a marker pen, kind of a cross between a marker and a pen. Now you can get these broader kind of marks with this marker, or you can turn it on its tip and get finer lines. And you see the difference between the lines of this pen with, for example, the fine liner. And when you use a variety of tools in your drawings and your sketches, it can create a lot of visual interest in your various sketches or compositions. So I love to sort of play with the pressure of how I'm using these materials. Sometimes I press down, I come up, I press down, just to show it, just to sort of show me the variety of marks that I can get from each art tool. Now this is my Bimoji brush pen. I love this brush pen. I love the varied marks that I can get from it. It's really fun to use, and I love all the scratchy marks that I can get from it. It's really an interesting tool to use. It's really a calligraphy pen, but I love the variety of marks that I can get when I'm using this pen. I just wanted to take you through these exercises to show you that I believe it's really important not to skip this step. I think it's really important to build a relationship with your art tools and get to know the variety of marks that each art tool can make, and also to build your confidence and comfort level with using various art tools. Now, when I'm warming up, I just let my art tool, my pen, my marker just move across the page, and not thinking that I want to create anything that looks recognizable or to create anything at all. The goal is just to build comfort, to free my marks, and to just allow my art session to be as personal to me as possible, because your hand is going to make marks that only you can make, right? So you want to build that comfort and that confidence when you are using a variety of art tools. In these quick 10-minute floral sketchbook sessions, I love to use reference material just to give myself a jumping off point And this is definitely one of my favorites. This was a gift that I received a few years back, and I love I love these cards so much. This is Florography. It's a box of cards that tell you the meaning of different flowers. It's so beautiful. I love to just flip through these, and on the back, it tells you about the name of the flower, and it tells you a little bit about the meaning of the flower and its use in different cultures and what it means when you give these flowers to someone else. So I love to flip through these. They're so beautiful, and they provide just a little bit of inspiration to sort of guide me through these quick 10-minute floral sketchbook sessions. Now, the point of using references is really not to copy exactly as you see the illustration, but it's really just to provide some inspiration and some guidance along your sketchbook journey. So I'm going to link these for you in the description. They are so beautiful, and I think they will help you so much in these quick 10-minute floral sketchbook sessions. So let's just start here. These are cosmos, and the meaning of them is harmony, and I think that's so beautiful. So we're going to use these cosmos as inspiration. And like I said, we're not going to sketch them exactly as you see them here. We're just going to sort of use it as inspiration. So for this, I want to use my emoji brush pen, just because these are larger petals, and I want these quick sweeping motions. So I'm going to start. Let me get the cap on here first. And I'm going to start by creating just some quick, loose floral shapes. Now, you're going to see why mark making in the beginning of your sketchbook session is so important, because it really loosens up the way that you move your hand across the page, right? So I'm not going to copy this composition exactly as I see it here, but I definitely want to be inspired by the shape of these cosmos. And I love to move quickly when I do this. I don't want to give myself too much of a chance to think about what I'm drawing, because, then you tend to overthink things, and you'll want to change your marks and maybe start over. But I truly think in the sketchbook sessions, no mark is ugly. No mark is, every mark deserves to be embraced, because these are your marks, right? So as you see, I'm anchoring my pinky here on the page, and I'm just creating these sweeping sort of motions by pressing this brush pen on the page and then just coming back up into these finer sort of lines. And sometimes I'll even exaggerate some of the shapes of my petals. So for example, right here, I'm just exaggerating the shape just to keep the composition loose and interesting. I'm making these dotty marks, these dotty marks in the center. And I'm not thinking too much about how it looks. It's really more so about how it feels. And I may even go back on top with some fine liner just to give me some more lines. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Now, as you can see, I'm definitely angling some of my flowers to point in this direction, which means I'm making these back petals here a bit longer and the ones on the bottom shorter. And this is just showing some direction in the flower. So what I'm gonna do here is sort of go back over some of these petals and create just some more fine lines. Just to add more texture and variety. And some shading, some shadow into the flower. Don't be afraid to turn your page also. And using a reference, it just guides you along your journey, right? Because you want your sketchbook session to feel like yours, but you don't necessarily have the time like you want to have. So there's nothing wrong with using reference material, not to copy, but just to give yourself a little bit of guidance. So as you can see, this is definitely not a carbon copy of these cosmos, but it definitely gives you the feeling. It gives you sort of the feeling of cosmos, not in the same composition, but just drawing and being inspired by what you see on the page. It just gives you sort of a jumping off point to keep your sketchbook session simple and approachable, but still like you, still making marks that feel like you. So we're gonna try another one. That was so much fun. So here we have some cherry blossoms, which stand for peace. And I love cherry blossoms because of the branch. It just adds a little bit more to the composition. I love the small flowers. I love the little buds on the cherry blossom. So we're going to approach this in a similar way. We're not going to carbon copy exactly what we see, but we're just going to guide ourselves by looking at this composition. So I can approach this actually in a few different ways. I can use my fine liner. I'm actually probably going to use a variety of different tools. Let's see. We can start off by using the brush pen. And I'm going to just make these small petals. And sort of the same way that we did in the previous composition, but not so much in large sweeping motions, but in smaller ways because these are smaller kinds of flowers. So I'm just going to do some random marks. I may even use my fine liner, or maybe I'll use my Pit Artist pen just to refine the shape of these a bit. And I'm just going around the edges and just refining the shapes of these marks. And I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just following where my hand naturally went in the beginning, but also adding a little flair and a little flavor to my marks. Let's move that over there. Now I'm drawing these petals in random areas, but I'm keeping in mind that there's going to be a branch that's going to join all of these petals together. But I'm sort of imagining the branch in my mind right now. And I'm just going through and making also these little black areas to sort of act as the little buds. Now I'm just taking my fine liner now and just drawing a branch. And I'm sort of wiggling my brush. Remember in the beginning when we were warming up our hand, we were sort of wiggling our brush. These are the reasons why I like to move not my brush, I keep saying brush when we were wiggling our pen. When we were wiggling our pen on the page, that's the reason why I like to do it this way, because it keeps my movements loose. And I even sometimes go back and make my marks a bit more imperfect. I layer lines on lines. Sometimes I add a few scratchy marks just to add some layering and a little shading and variety to my mark making. Now I'm thinking I'm gonna add some more petals over here. Now I'm going to refine the shape of these loose marks that I just laid down with the brush pen. And I'm going to go back in with my fine liner just to create a little branch on the side here. Now, is this going to look exactly like the composition here? No, but you really don't want it to. You want it to look like your art, right? You want it to look like you made it. And that includes adding your magic, adding your hands. And you see I'm switching back and forth between various materials. I'm starting with my brush pen and I'm adding these loose but small sweeping marks. And I'm not paying too much attention to how they look. They don't really have to look like anything. You're just keeping in mind that you want to make sort of a petal-like curvature, but it can be loose and messy. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just going back in and refining the shape a little bit more with my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen and just giving it a bit more line work and definition. And I may even add some more petals. If I'm not satisfied with the way the composition looks. But most of the time I'm just using it as an outline just to refine the shape of what I already have down on paper. And I'm just going back with my fine liner and adding a branch. And I love to go back in now and add some more little squiggly lines and layer more lines on top of lines, just to keep the process loose and imperfect. It keeps it way more interesting also. I'm going to add some buds here. Now we can stop here or we can continue to add more branches, more petal shapes. There's our cherry blossom.